Now, today we will discuss 7th August 2024 Secure Synopsis, General Studies 1. Topic is Post-Vedic period. The post-Vedic period marked the consolidation of caste system and social hierarchies. Comment. It's a 10-marker question. Okay. Key demand of this question is to comment on how the caste system and social hierarchies were consolidated during the post-Vedic period and their effects on Indian society. Okay, structure of the answer. Introduction. Introduce the post-Vedic period as a time of significant social, political, and religious transformations in ancient India. Body. Firstly, mention the factors that led to the consolidation of caste system, evolution and entrenchment of caste structures, scriptural and religious texts provided religious justification for the caste system, codification of Varna system, role of Brahmins and religious institutions. In the second part, briefly mention the factors that led to the consolidation of social hierarchies. At last, briefly mention the impact of caste consolidation and social hierarchies in later Vedic society and conclude accordingly. Okay, introduction. The post-Vedic period in ancient India spanning roughly from 600 BCE to 200 BCE, 600 BCE to 200 BCE, marked a crucial phase in the evolution of Indian social structure. This era witnessed the significant consolidation and formalization of the caste system and social hierarchies that would profoundly shape Indian society for millennia to come. Body. Consolidation of caste system in post-Vedic period. For first one is formalization of Varna system, emergence of subcastes, jadis, codification of social laws, Brahminical supremacy. Fifth one is changes in marriage practices. Okay. Formalization of the Varna system. The fourfold Varna system, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, became more rigidly defined. This system, which was more fluid in the Vedic period, became increasingly hereditary. Emergence of subcastes, Jadis. Within the broader Varna categories, numerous occupational subcastes or Jadis developed. These Jadis were often region specific and based on particular professions or trades. Three, codification of social laws. Texts like the Dharma Sutras and the later Manusmriti codified social norms and hierarchies. Texts like Dharma Sutras and the later the Manusmriti codified social norms and hierarchies. These texts prescribed specific duties, rights, and restrictions for different social groups. Fourth one is Brahminical supremacy, Brahminical authority. The growing influence of Brahmins, who were regarded as the custodians of sacred knowledge and rituals, further entrenched the caste divisions. They provided the ideological underpinning for the caste system through religious doctrines. Fifth one is changes in marriage practices. The concept of Anuloma, upper caste men marrying lower caste women, and Pradiloma, lower caste men marrying upper caste women, marriages emerged, with the later being strongly discouraged. Next is consolidation of social hierarchies. First one is increased social stratification. The gap between upper and lower caste widened. Concepts of purity and pollution became more prominent, influencing social interactions. Consolidation of social hierarchies. First one is increased social stratification. The gap between upper and lower caste widened. Concepts of purity and pollution became more prominent, influencing social interactions. Second is agrarian economy. The shift to an agrarian economy necessitated a more organized and hierarchical society. Land ownership and control over agricultural resources became central to social status, leading to the rise of landlord classes and a dependent peasantry. Example, emergence of the feudal system, where large landowners, often from the Kshatriya and Brahmin Varnas. Third is occupational specialization. The diversification of occupations such as blacksmiths, weavers, and potters led to the formation of the specific jadis. Each jadi had its own rules and customs, creating a complex web of social relations based on occupation. Example, the guilds, shredis of craftsmen and traders, which organized themselves along caste lines. Fourth, political implications. The Varna system influenced political structures, with Brahmins and Kshatriyas often holding the most power. Fifth one is impact on education and knowledge transmission. Access to Vedic learning became more restricted, primarily to upper castes. Specialized knowledge within professions was often kept within specific jadis. Sixth is integration of tribes. Integration of tribes. Many tribes and non-Aryan communities were integrated into caste system, often placed in lower strata as Shudras or untouchables, further solidifying the hierarchical nature of society. Example, assimilation of indigenous tribes like the Nishadas into the lower echelons of the caste system. Conclusion. This consolidation of the caste system had profound and long-lasting effects on Indian society, many of which persist to the present day. It is important to note that while the system became more rigid during this period, it was not entirely inflexible and varied significantly across regions and over time. Next topic is Iranian and Macedonian invasion. Question 2. Discuss the impact of the Iranian and Macedonian invasions on Indian society, politics, and culture. It's a 15-marker question. Okay. Key demand of this question is to discuss the effects of the Iranian and Macedonian invasions on various aspects of Indian civilization, including its society, political structure, and cultural developments. Okay, introduction. Introduce the Iranian and Macedonian invasions as significant events in ancient Indian history. Body. First, discuss the impact of the Iranian invasions. Introduction of new, such as introduction of new administrative practices, increased economic interactions and exchange of goods, cultural and artistic exchange, etc. Cite examples too. Okay. Second, next, discuss the impact of the Macedonian invasions, such as temporary disruption of local kingdoms, introduction of Greek cultural elements in Indian society, adoption and adaptation of certain Greek military techniques by Indian rulers, settlement of foreigners on Indian soil, etc. Conclude by emphasizing the significance of these interactions in shaping the historical trajectory of ancient India and contributing to its rich and diverse cultural heritage. Introduction. The Iranian, Persian, and Macedonian invasions during the early classical period of Indian history had profound impacts on the subcontinent's society, politics, and culture. The Persian invasion under Cyrus the Great and Darius I around the 6th century BCE, followed by Alexander the Great's Macedonian invasion in the late 4th century BCE, brought India into closer contact with the cultures and political systems of the West. Impact of Iranian and Macedonian invasions on Indian society. First one is art and architecture. The fusion of Greek and Persian artistic styles with Indian traditions gave rise to the Gandhara school of art. Art and architecture. The fusion of Greek and Persian artistic styles with Indian traditions gave rise to Gandhara school of art. This style is characterized by realistic human figures, often depicting Buddhist themes with Hellenistic features. Second is spread of ideas. The invasions facilitated the exchange of ideas, including philosophical, religious, and scientific concepts. Greek influence is evident in Indian astronomy and medicine, while Persian influences are seen in administrative practices and cultural exchanges. Third is urbanization and trade. The invasions stimulated urbanization and trade, particularly in the northwest regions. Example, cities like Taxila became prominent centers of learning and commerce, attracting scholars, traders, and artisans from various cultures. Fourth one is intermixing of races. A large number of foreigners, Greek, Persian, Turks, etc., settled down in the northwest, leading to cultural mixing. Example, Greek communities in cities like Taxila. Political impact. First is establishment of satrapies. The Persian conquest led to the establishment of satrapies, provinces in the northwestern parts of India. This introduced the Persian administrative model, influencing Indian governance system. Example, the idea of provincial governance and satrapy can be seen in the later Mauryan Empire's administrative structure. Second is introduction of coinage. Persians introduced a standardized system of coinage, which facilitated trade and economic integration. This practice was adopted and further developed during the Mauryan period. Example, the use of silver coins similar to the Persian daric. Okay, third one is military innovations. Exposure to Persian and later Macedonian military techniques, such as the use of cavalry and advanced weaponry, influenced Indian warfare strategies. Next is impact on culture. Art and architecture. The Iranian art also influenced the Indian art. Ashoka followed the Indian custom of preaching. Ashoka followed the Iranian custom of preaching ideals by inscribing them on the stone pillars. The Indians also learned the art of polishing. Example, the pillars remnants of Patliputra's palace, bearing striking resemblance to the pillared hall in the Achaemenid capital. Second is introduction of Aramic script, Persian in origin, which influenced the development of Kharoshthi script. It was written from right to left. Example, inscriptions and administrative documents in the northwestern regions of India using the Kharoshthi script. Third is syncretism. The interaction of Greek and Indian cultures led to the syncretic religious practices. This is evident in the Greco-Buddhist art of Gandhara, where Buddhist deities were depicted with Hellenistic artistic styles. Example, Heracles inspired Vajrapani's figure. For this cultural exchange, the enduring legacy of these invasions is seen in the sustained cultural exchanges between India and the West. This period marked the beginning of India's engagement with global cultures, influencing subsequent historical developments. Other impacts. First one, trade expansion. The invasions opened up trade routes between India and the Persian Empire, and later the Hellenistic world. This enhanced economic interactions, leading to increased prosperity and the exchange of goods such as the spices, textiles, and precious stones. Example, increased trade along the Silk Road, connecting India more closely with the Mediterranean world. Second is infrastructure development. The construction of roads and trade routes by the Persians and the Hellenistic rulers facilitated commerce and mobility, contributing to the economic interaction of the region. Okay, Empire of Alexander the Great. You can see them here. Conclusion. While the Iranian and Macedonian invasions were relatively short-lived, their impacts on Indian society, politics, and culture were profound and long-lasting. They contributed to a period of cultural synthesis and exchange that enriched and diversified Indian civilization. Okay. Next, we will discuss general studies too. Topic is statutory, regulatory, and various quasi-judicial bodies. Question 3. Enumerate the functions of the Central Information Commission, CIC. Do you think it has taken essential steps to remove the impediments to the citizens' pursuit of accountability? Justify your stance with suitable examples. Do you think it has taken essential steps to remove the impediments to the citizens' pursuit of accountability? Okay, why this question? Delhi High Court has ruled that the compensation awarded by the Central Information Commission, CIC, under the Right to Information Act 2005 has to directly correlate with the personal detriment experienced by the complainant. Key demand of this question is to enumerate the functions of the Central Information Commission and CIC and evaluate if it has effectively addressed obstacles to citizen accountability supported by examples. Directive here is evaluate type, explain functions, take a stance, and justify with examples. Structure of the answer. Introduction. Brief about the right to information and its importance. Body. First part, functions of CICs, such as enforce the Right to Information Act, RTI Act, transparency and accountability, hear appeals and complaints, impose penalties, ensure proactive disclosure of information. Then second part, effectiveness in addressing obstacle. Examples of actions taken. Case laws where CIC's rulings enhanced information disclosure. Third part is challenges and criticisms. Issues with compensation correlating with personal detriment. Instances where CIC's actions were limited or ineffective. Conclusion. Reflect on areas needing improvement and propose suggestions for enhancement. Introduction. The Central Information Commission, CIC, established by the central government in 2005 under the Right to Information RTI Act, is an independent body tasked with handling complaints and appeals related to information requests from public officers, financial institutions, and other central entities. Okay, a decade and half of RTI. 33 million RTI applications filed in 15 years. 9% applications resulted in second appeal, meaning that over 90% of the applicants were satisfied with the government's response. 220K cases pending till July 31, 2020. 24% of information commissioner posts lying vacant in 28 states. Okay. Headless commissions. The Jharkhand Information Commission since May 8, 2020. The Tripura Information Commission since April 2020. Central Information Commission since August 17, 2020. 9 states, including Uttar Pradesh, Telangana, and Rajasthan, do not have a chief information commissioner. Today, one of the most significant challenges the transparency regime faces is the attack on the transparency watchdogs. Okay. Powers and functions of CIC. First one is complaint handling. The CIC addresses complaints related to the refusal of information, non-response to information requests, unreasonable fees, and incomplete or misleading information. The CIC addresses complaints related to the refusal of information, non-response to information requests, unreasonable fees, and incomplete or misleading information. Second is inquiry initiation. The CIC can start inquiries on its own initiative, suo motu, if there are reasonable grounds for doing so. Third is civil court powers. During inquiries, the CIC has civil court powers, including summoning witnesses, enforcing attendance, and compelling the provision of evidence and documents. Fourth one is ensuring compliance. The CIC can direct public authorities to appoint PIOs where none exist, improve training on RTI, and submit annual compliance reports. Fifth one is penalties and recommendations. The CIC can impose penalties for non-compliance with RTI provisions and recommend measures for improving conformity. Next is steps taken by the CIC in the citizens' pursuit of accountability. First one is proponent of transparency. It had passed orders seeking transparency in many cases of public importance. Example, boldly pronouncing that political parties were under the RTI Act's ambit and hence accountable to the public, to ordering disclosure of the current Prime Minister's education qualifications and the Reserve Bank of India's list of willful defaulters of loans, to proactive disclosure. The CIC mandated the disclosure of government spending data, such as the allocation and utilization of funds for public health projects to improve transparency. Third, record digitization. The CIC recommended digitization records of land transactions and environmental impact assessments to make them easily accessible, such as the creation of an online database for land records. Fourth one is landmark orders. The CIC directed the release of information on public expenditure related to infrastructure projects and the impact assessments of industrial developments, which were previously kept confidential. Fifth is case management. By implementing video conferencing for hearings, the CIC significantly reduced the time for resolving appeals, such as those involving delays in receiving government documents. Sixth is public service improvement. The CIC's efforts in ensuring timely updates on government schemes like welfare programs helped in better implementation and reduced delays, thereby curbing corruption. Challenges faced by the CIC. First one is delays and backlogs. Data. The CIC takes an average of 388 days to resolve an appeal, and over 220,000 RTI cases are pending at both central and state information commissions, according to a recent report. Second is lack of penalties. Government officials rarely face penalties for RTI violations. For instance, only 2.2% of resolved cases resulted in penalties, despite a violation rate of around 59%. Third is vacancies. Persistent vacancies within the CIC, despite court orders, have hindered its effective and timely operation. Fourth one is financial constraints. That funding for India's information commissions has decreased significantly, with a 91% reduction in expenditure over 6 years. Fifth is amendments and central control. Post 2019 amendments have allowed the center to alter terms and conditions at will, affecting the CIC's independence. Suggestions for improvement. First one is adequate funding, then staffing, timely case resolution, capacity building, technological upgrades. First is adequate funding. The CIC needs sufficient financial resources to operate effectively. Second is staffing. The CIC should staffed with qualified and experienced individuals to manage the growing number of RTA appeals and complaints. Third one is timely case resolution. Measures should be implemented to ensure that cases are resolved promptly, reducing delays and backlogs. For this capacity building, the CIC should conduct training programs for both public officials and the citizens to improve understanding and implementation of the RTA Act. Fifth one is technological upgrades. The CIC should use technology to improve information access and streamline processes, including digitizing records and developing a central information database. Okay, conclusion. Lack of remote access to records during the lockdown has been widely cited as the reason for Commission's inability to conduct hearings on appeals and complaints. Nonetheless, the CIC has played an important role in promoting transparency and accountability in government operations and removing barriers to citizens' pursuit of accountability. Okay. Next topic is issues related to federal structures, quasi-judicial bodies. Issues related to federal structure, quasi-judicial bodies. Fourth question, the Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, has faced challenges to its credibility in recent years. Examine the factors behind this erosion of trust and recommend steps to enhance and sustain its reputation. Why this question? The CBI has booked the country's leading aluminium producer, Hindalco of the Aditya Birla Group. Key demand of this question is to examine the factors contributing to the erosion of trust in the Central Bureau of Investigation and recommend steps to enhance and sustain its credibility. Directive, examine challenges, factors, and practical suggestions ahead. Structure of the answer. Introduction, briefly introduce the CBI and its role in Indian governance. First part, factors behind erosion of trust, such as political interference, allegation of bias, public perception. Second part, recommendations to enhance and sustain credibility, institutional reforms, transparency and accountability, strengthening internal processes, public relations and communication. A conclusion, emphasize the importance of implementing recommended reforms to restore and maintain trust. Introduction. The Central Bureau of Investigation, CBI, is India's leading agency for investigating significant economic crimes, corruption, and high-profile cases. Central Bureau of Investigation is India's leading agency for investigating significant economic crimes, corruption, and high-profile cases. Despite its role, its credibility has been challenged, notably by former Chief Justice N.V. Ramanna in 2022. Okay, CBI. It is a premier investigating police agency in India. Functions under the superintendence of the Ministry of Personnel, Pension and Public Grievances. It coordinates on behalf of India with Interpol member countries for investigations of offences under the Prevention of Corruption Act. It superintends best with the Central Vigilance Commission. Its conviction rate is as high as 65 to 70%. Okay. Factors behind erosion of trust and CBI's declining credibility. Political involvement. Example, the firing of CBI Chief Alok Verma in 2018 raised concerns about political interference. Second is lack of transparency. Example, the 2015 Vyabam scam investigation faced criticism for its opaque handling of the case. Third is efficiency issues. Example, the slow progress in the 2020 Augusta Westland fraud case highlighted inefficiencies in CBI investigations. Fourth one is corruption. Example, in May 2022, 4 CBI officials were arrested on corruption charges, damaging the agency's reputation. Fifth one is lack of accountability. Example, the handling of the 2020 Sushant Singh Rajput death investigation was criticized for lacking oversight. Steps to improve CBI's credibility and enhance reputation. Non-intervention. Example, the Supreme Court's 2019 directive for greater CBI autonomy aims to prevent political interference. Second is accountability. The national government must make sure that any misbehavior by CBI agents is punished. Third is adequate funding. The central government must give the CBI enough money to cover the cost of its facilities, staffs, and other resources. For instance, the CBI received funding for a new headquarters building in 2018. Fourth is specialized training. Example, implementing online training programs to improve the skills of CBI officials. Fifth is collaboration. Example, enhancing coordination with other law enforcement agencies to improve investigation efficiency. Sixth is public confidence. Public confidence. CBI should start a fresh campaign to educate the public about corruption and related crimes. Example, CBI recently filed case against Hindalco and former Forest Ministry Director for corruption. Conclusion: the CBI should regain its credibility to enhance its effectiveness in fighting crimes. This would lead to increased public confidence in the agency's ability to bring the guilty to justice, deter others from engaging in corrupt activities, and improve law and order. Okay, next is General Studies 3. Topic is economy. What is the yen carry trade? Discuss its impact on India. What is the yen carry trade? Discuss its impact on India. It's a 10-mark question. Okay, why this question? Yen carry trade is in the news due to its impact on the stock market. World stock market. Okay, key demand of this question is to explain the yen carry trade mechanism and analyze how changes in Japan's monetary policy led to its unwinding, triggering global market reactions and its impact on India. Okay, structure of the answer. Introduction. Begin by defining the yen carry trade. Body. Yen carry trade. Definition. Borrowing in yen at low interest rates and investing in higher yielding assets abroad. Example, Japan's zero or negative interest rates encourage this practice. Second one is impact of BOJ policy changes. Background. BOJ's recent interest rate hikes from minus 0.1% to 0.25%. Consequences. Strengthening of the yen and investors selling off foreign assets. Third one is global market impact. Explanation. How the unwinding led to asset sell-offs contributing to market declines. Case study. The market fell on August 5th, highlighting interconnected economic factors. Fourth is Indian market impact. Conclusion. Write a way forward. Introduction. The yen carry trade is a financial strategy that involves borrowing money in Japanese yen, which has a low interest rate, and investing it in assets or currencies that offer higher returns. This practice exploits the interest rate differential between the low yielding yen and higher yielding assets. Body. Impact on India. Currency fluctuations. The yen carry trade can lead to increased demand for emerging market currencies like the Indian rupee. Investors converting borrowed yen into rupees for investments can appreciate the rupee. However, this can also lead to volatility if investors suddenly unwind their positions. Example, during periods when the yen carry trade is active, the Indian rupee may appreciate due to increased inflows from foreign investments. Conversely, if investors liquidate their positions, the rupee could depreciate rapidly. Second is inflationary pressures. Increased foreign investment can lead to a rise in asset prices, including stocks and real estate, which can contribute to inflationary pressures in the domestic economy. Example, a surge in foreign investments in Indian real estate can drive up property prices, contributing to higher living costs and inflation. Third is financial market volatility. The yen carry trade can contribute to financial market volatility. Sudden reversals in the trade can lead to sharp movements in asset prices and exchange rates, affecting market stability. Example, if global risk sentiment shifts and investors decide to unwind their carry trades, it can lead to sudden outflows of capital from Indian markets, causing sharp declines in stock prices and depreciation of the rupee. For these investment flows, the yen carry trade can influence foreign direct investment, FDI, and portfolio investment in India. Increased foreign capital can support economic growth by financing infrastructure projects and business expansion. Investment flows, the yen carry trade can influence foreign direct investment and portfolio investments in India. Increased foreign capital can support economic growth by financing infrastructure projects and business expansion. Example, increased inflows from yen carry trades can provide additional capital for Indian companies, supporting expansion and job creation. Fifth one is impact on monetary policy. The inflows and outflows resulting from carry trade can affect the monetary policy stance of the Reserve Bank of India, RBI. Large capital inflows might lead to pressures on the RBI to adjust interest rates or implement measures to manage currency volatility. Example, to counteract excessive appreciation of the rupee due to carry trades, the RBI might intervene in the foreign exchange market or adjust interest rates to stabilize the currency. Conclusion, the yen currency trade is a significant financial strategy that can impact emerging markets like India through its effects on currency fluctuations, inflationary pressures, financial market volatility, and investment flows. While it can provide temporary capital inflows and support economic growth, it also poses risk of increased market volatility and inflation. Understanding the dynamics of the yen carry trade is crucial for policymakers and investors to navigate its implications and manage the associated risk effectively. Okay, topic, Indian economy and issues relating to planning, mobilization of resources, growth, development, and employment. Question 6, examine the efficacy of inflation targeting as a monetary policy tool in India. Should RBI target only core inflation? Discuss. Why this question? Inflation targeting has been a key component of the RBI's monetary policy framework. However, the debate continues on whether the RBI should focus solely on core inflation, which excludes volatile items like food and energy prices, or maintain its broader approach. Key demand of this question is to evaluate the effectiveness of inflation targeting as a monetary policy tool in India and discuss whether the RBI should focus only on core inflation. Structure of the answer. Introduction. Define inflation targeting and its objectives within the context of India's monetary policy. Body. First, efficacy of inflation targeting. Explain the goals and mechanisms of inflation targeting. Discuss the success of the RBI in achieving its inflation targets since adopting this framework. Highlight any challenges or limitations encountered. Second is arguments for targeting only core inflation. Discuss the stability and predictability of core inflation as it excludes volatile food and energy prices. Explain how core inflation targeting can lead to more consistent monetary policy decisions. Provide examples from other countries that successfully target core inflation. Third, arguments against targeting only core inflation. Highlight the importance of food and energy prices in the Indian economy, where a large portion of the population is sensitive to these price changes. Discuss how targeting only core inflation might ignore significant inflationary pressures experienced by the poor and the implications for social equity. Mention the impact of supply side factors such as agricultural output and international commodity prices on overall inflation. Conclusion. Conclude with a way forward. Introduction. Inflation targeting is a monetary policy framework where a central bank sets a specific inflation rate as its primary goal to guide monetary policy decisions. In India, the Reserve Bank of India, RBI, adopted inflation targeting in 2016 with the aim of maintaining price stability and anchoring inflation expectations. Body. First one is efficacy of inflation targeting in India. Objective and framework. Inflation targeting involves setting a specific target for inflation and using monetary policy tools such as interest rate adjustments to achieve this target. In India, the RBI's inflation target is set by the Government of India with a range of 2% to 6% for the Consumer Price Index, CPI inflation. Benefits: enhanced credibility. Inflation targeting helps build credibility and transparency. As the RBI communicates its inflation goals and strategy to the public, which can help anchor inflation expectations. Example, by publicly committing to an inflation target, the RBI has increased market confidence in its ability to manage inflation effectively. Policy framework. It provides a clear framework for policy decisions, helping to guide expectations and make monetary monetary policy more systematic and predictable. Example, the RBI adjusts interest rates based on inflation forecasts and actual inflation data, helping to stabilize prices and manage economic growth. Accountability. The RBI is held accountable for achieving the inflation target with regular reports and assessments of its performance. Example, the RBI releases periodic reports on inflation and monetary policy, explaining its actions and strategies to meet the inflation target. Challenges. Inflation volatility. Inflation targeting may face challenges if inflation is volatile or influenced by external shocks, such as the fluctuations in global commodity prices or supply chain disruptions. Example, the COVID-19 pandemic and the subsequent supply chain issues led to increased food and energy prices, affecting the RBI's ability to maintain the inflation target. Balancing growth and inflation. Strict adherence to inflation targeting may conflict with other macroeconomic objectives, such as promoting economic growth and employment. Example, aggressive interest rate hikes to control inflation might slow down economic growth and impact investment and employment. Second, should RBI target only core inflation? Definition of core inflation. Core inflation excludes volatile components like food and fuel prices, focusing on more stable elements of the CPI. Example, core inflation often provides a clearer picture of underlying inflation trends, excluding short-term fluctuations in food and energy prices. Arguments for targeting core inflation. Stability. Core inflation may provide a more stable and reliable measure of underlying inflation trends, reducing the impact of temporary price shocks. Example, by focusing on core inflation, the RBI can avoid overreacting to short-term fluctuations in food and energy prices, leading to more consistent policy decisions. Policy effectiveness. Targeting core inflation can help the RBI implement monetary policy more effectively by focusing on the underlying inflation trend. Example, core inflation targeting allows the RBI to concentrate on long-term inflation trends, potentially improving policy effectiveness. Arguments against solely targeting core inflation. Consumer impact. Food and fuel prices significantly impact households, and ignoring these components may not fully address the cost of living concerns faced by consumers. Example, rising food prices can have a direct and substantial impact on the standard of living. Hello. Arguments against solely targeting core inflation. Consumer impact. Food and fuel prices significantly impact households, and ignoring these components may not fully address the cost of living concerns faced by consumers. Example, rising food prices can have a direct and substantial impact on the food standard of living, affecting lower income households more acutely. Inflation expectations. Excluding food and fuel prices may not capture the full scope of inflationary pressures, potentially leading to misaligned inflation expectations. Example, if food and fuel prices are rising, they might influence overall inflation expectations, which could affect economic behavior and policy effectiveness. Conclusion, inflation targeting has proven to be an effective monetary policy tool in India, enhancing the RBI's credibility, providing a clear policy framework, and improving accountability. However, challenges such as inflation volatility and the need to balance growth and inflation persist. While targeting core inflation offers stability and can improve policy effectiveness, it is important for the RBI to consider the broader impact of total inflation, including food and fuel prices on households and economic expectations. General studies for emotional intelligence. The topic is emotional intelligence. Question 7, what does this quote mean to you? The road to success runs uphill. 10 markers question. The road to success runs uphill. Why this question? As the Paris Olympics is underway, the athletes are often in the news to achieve medals in the Olympics. Introduction. Begin by defining the meaning of success. Body. First, explain why the path to success is challenging. Then, explain how to inculcate and tame one's mind to be resilient. Use examples to justify your points. Conclusion summarized by writing an ethical philosophy or quote. Okay, introduction. Success is often defined as the accomplishment of goals, the attainment of personal or professional milestones, or the realization of one's potential. It is a state where one's efforts and aspirations culminate in achieving desired outcomes. Success: lead by example, mentor, motivate, teach, inspire, vision, teamwork, goals. Okay. The path to success is challenging due to various obstacles and difficulties that one must navigate. Success typically requires sustained effort, perseverance, and overcoming setbacks. Success typically requires sustained effort, perseverance, and overcoming setbacks. The uphill nature of the journey symbolizes the struggles and hardships that individuals encounter as they strive towards their goals. For instance, achieving a high level of success in sports often demands long hours of hard work, dealing with failures, and facing competitive environments. This uphill battle is characterized by persistent effort despite facing difficulties. To successfully tackle these challenges, one must develop resilience, a mental fortitude that enables individuals to endure and overcome adversity. Resilience can be cultivated through practices such as the setting realistic goals, maintaining a positive mindset, and learning from failures. For example, Thomas Edison, who famously faced numerous failed experiments before inventing the light bulb, exemplifies resilience. His ability to view failures as learning opportunities rather than obstacles played a crucial role in his eventual success. Additionally, creating a support system such as mentors or peers can provide guidance and encouragement during tough times. Steve Jobs, who faced multiple setbacks in his career, including being ousted from Apple, demonstrated resilience by continuing to innovate and eventually leading Apple to unprecedented success. His story underscores the importance of mental resilience and the ability to push forward despite facing significant challenges. Conclusion: embracing the challenges and learning from the journey ultimately contributes to a more fulfilling and rewarding experience. Success is not merely about reaching the destination, but also about the strength and character developed through the pursuit. Okay, thank you for listening me. We'll see you in next class. Thank you very much.